Half Shell Oyster House June and July features are here. Sweet, sweet summertime is here. We have the perfect bar food to snack on while catching your favorite game. Try our ahi tuna tostadas or cobia succotash. Maybe sip on our grilled jalapeno margarita. Happy hour is daily from 3 to 6 p.m. at Half Shell Oyster House, located at 115 Laurel Park Cove, Suite 105, Flowood, Mississippi, 39232, or you can give us a call at 769-257-7586. And oh yeah, tell them Sonia sent you.
She say, sports. She say, sports. She say, sports. She say, sports.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports and our segment Legends of the Sipp. Please welcome back my co-host, Brian Wanky Adams, with coach with Driven Elite Basketball Academy, and Sports Writer of the Year with the New Orleans Advocate, Rod Walker. And our Legends of the Sipp today, he truly does not need an introduction, but I'm gonna give you a few of his accolades because we're gonna talk about most of those in the show. A true legend, one of the winningest basketball coaches in the state of Mississippi, Mississippi Associations of Coaches Hall of Famer, and head coach of the 2022 GCAC. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
GCAC tournament champions at Tougaloo, the Lou College, Coach Thomas Billups. Hey, Coach, how are you today?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
We are doing good. Well. Thank you so much for joining. This is an honor. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, anytime.
Okay. How your family, everybody's doing well?
Everybody good.
That's good. All right. Well, let's get right into it. So, Coach, I asked everybody this question, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. When did your love for basketball begin?
It was when I was in the 9th grade. At Camille Street High School in Louisville, Mississippi.
Okay. And you know, you have 12 siblings, and you're the youngest out of 13. You're the baby, correct?
Right.
So could you pretty much say that they were your first teammates, your first playmates, and did y'all play sports together?
Well, you know, it's strange. Hey, I'm the only one in the family that played baseball, basketball.
Wow.
The only one.
Really? So yeah, I saw that you did play football, basketball, and you ran track.
And also baseball.
Yeah, baseball. Okay, so out of the 4, because I know basketball came in the mix later on, you said in the 9th grade, which was your favorite out of the 4?
Well, you know, I'm going to be honest with you now. Football was the one that I wanted to be the best in. I wanted to be the best in football, but I was the best. My best sport in playing was baseball. Okay. And my best sport in coaching is football.
Wow, that's interesting. So if your best is coaching in football, I mean, all the stuff that you're doing, I mean, you had a 1700 record at Lanier in wins. I can't imagine what you would be doing in football.
Well, you know, I kind of I love football now. I kind of let football go when I was at Lanier High School.
Okay.
It just started getting so cold on the outside. So I say, well, I gotta choose between the two, football or basketball.
Well, I'm glad you chose basketball. That is great. So, Coach, Besides your parents, you had three people that were pretty influential in your life. Your brother Howard,
Right.
Your math teacher, Mr. Hempfield, and
Right.
your football coach, Harold Hudson.
Harold Hudson, yeah. And my mom was behind everything, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What was the question I wanted to ask you was, how did they influence you in your young life, and what lessons you learned from them that still impact your life today?
Well, my high school football coach, let me just start with him. My mom always, let me go back. My mom always she was an athlete. Now, she played softball.
Okay.
And she could play at any position. She played softball till she was 41 years old.
Wow.
So she was always, and I got all of my athletic ability from her. So Mr. Hudson, my high school football coach, I was in a PE class one day, and I was out there just throwing the ball and just, if you know about football, those coaches that see a person throwing a football at a long distance, hey, they gonna ask them to come out for football. So they did ask me to come out for football. So I went out for football in my 8th grade year. And I think I was the only 8th grader that played football at that time, when no other 8th grader was on the team except me.
Wow. What position did you play?
I was a quarterback. I started off at quarterback. I played wide receiver. I played defensive back.
So you was just a man's man type of guy back in the day with the sports.
Well, I just love sports back then.
Yeah. So, Coach, one more question, and I know the guys want to jump in. Mr. Hempfield told you something when you were a teenager, and it fueled you to become a winner. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, one day, it was on a Friday, and if you know Mr. Hempfield, he is so funny. But so one day, it was a Friday, we was getting ready to play a football game. And I was just out there in the hallway, messing around with the football guys. You know how you have a football game, you know how the football guys, they get hyped up that day and they all in the hallway talking. So I came in Mr. Hempfield classroom after the bell had sounded. Mm-hmm. And I walked in, and everybody got so quiet, and they were just looking. They were just looking at me. So I said to myself then, Mr. Hempfield probably done brought my name up in this class. That's why they were looking at me. So, and he said, when I walked in there, he said, Billups? I said, yes, sir. And I had to say yes, sir, everything, because if he had sent me to my high school football coach, I wouldn't have been playing football that night. Wow. So I was going along with everything he said. I said, yes, sir, Mr. Hempfield. He said, Billups, why you late? I said, Mr. Hempfield, I'm so sorry. He said, and he hesitate. And he said, well, Billups, ain't too many Billups around here, is it? I say, no, sir, Mr. Hempfield. He said, after I said that, he said, well, you ain't gonna ever be nothing anyway. And that's what he said in the front of 32 of my classmates.
Wow.
And that's what motivates me up until this day. I found out then that when somebody doubts you on what you can do, if you work hard enough, you can accomplish anything you want to be.
That's right.
Hey, Coach Billups, you say that, and you think back to some of your Lanier teams, and you had some teams that probably on paper didn't look like they would have, wouldn't make it to the Coliseum. And you took some teams that, obviously you had some good players, but you had some teams that probably wasn't great on paper, but you got something out of them. What was it about your coaching style that allowed you to get the most out of your teams like that?
Well, let me just say this. A lot of coaches don't know this. Some of them might. And I was talking to Coach Neal the other day, and I was talking about it, and we brought it up. But a lot of people don't understand. When you show kids that you care about them, they'll leave everything on the floor for you. They'll do anything for you. They'll run through a brick wall for you. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it was at Lanier. I was tough. I was tough on them, and it was tough love. And anytime they got in trouble, the teacher would not call the principal. They would send them over to the gym where I was. And those players would beg the teacher, please don't send me to Coach Billups. So, but it was tough love, and ever since I've been in coaching, that's the way I am, and that I'm gonna stay that way all my life, because it's not broke, and I'm not gonna try to fix it. I'm winning ball games, and I'm not gonna try to fix it. That's the way I'm gonna coach for the rest of my life.
I know in high school, I mean, you had them guys, 32 minutes, they were going to play hard every single possession. And to me, that's what made Lanier basketball what it was, is just your ability to get that out of those guys for a full 32 minutes. I mean, most coaches can't do that, but for you, they would do it. How'd you do that?
Well, that's what I said, tough love. And hey, they know how hard we work in the gym. And and like you said, at some time I didn't have an outstanding player, but all of those guys that came under me at Lanier High School, they wanted to be as good as the player that won my first championship. And from that time, it started on. Everybody that was a senior or on that team, they wanted to win a championship. And they know that if they played and I subbed them, they better play just as hard as the one that came out. If they didn't, I'm talking about defense now. I wasn't talking about scoring. And that's one thing I don't do. I don't worry about scoring, because if I play good defense, I'm going to score.
Right.
So those kids knew that. And they knew that was the only time they was going to get a play, if they played defense. And that's just the way my basketball program went at Lanier. It was sometime I had 15, about 3 or 4 years, I had 15 players each year, and I played 15 players every game and every night. Because when you put one in, you couldn't tell the difference.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Right.
And go ahead, Wink.
Hey, Coach, good to see you, man.
All right, good to see you, Brian.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's a couple of things I'm gonna run by. You probably don't. It's for your first time hearing it today. Number one, man. Much respect, much love for you, man. Your son and I, same class. Love him like a brother. Man. I know your cell phone number by heart, and you, Coach Neal, and Stan Jones at Florida State, man. Y'all the 3 coaches on this earth that I try to, keep in touch with and, talk to and things of this nature, man. My hat goes off to you, man, because I played against those Lanier teams, and I made a post yesterday. I put out my top 5 high school teams that I ever saw. In no particular order. I said 92 Murrah, 92 Lawrence County, 95 Piney Woods, 96 Lanier, and 98 Provine. So when I played against Lanier at Mississippi State, I'm thinking, I'm going into the game, I'm thinking, man, Shannon Long, he gonna be the one that guard me. No, it wasn't Shannon Long guarding me. Everybody guarded me.
Every time you touched it, it was a double team, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness. It wasn't no he gonna guard me, no, we gonna guard it. You know. But man, no, for sure, man. I just remember just going on all the trips in the summertime, you know, the ABCD and the Nike camps and
right.
Because, you know, like you say, you and Coach Neal and other guys at that time when Mississippi recruiting was exploding, you guys were there packing us up in the vans and taking us on these recruiting trips. And, you know, y'all were father figures to us, even though a lot of us had fathers at home, y'all was that extra that we needed. You know, man,
right.
I'll never forget you, man. Never.
Well, I appreciate that, Brian. I appreciate it. And hey, I love coaching you when we played in the All-Star game when I had all of you all. You, Quinn, TJ, Shannon Long, and they brought Alabama over here and we just destroyed them.
Well, hey, look, I'm gonna tell you about that game. So Sonya and Rod, so I go to the All-Star game thinking, hey, you know, this is gonna be a little chill week for me before I go out to college. Man, Coach Billups got the blowing that whistle. I said, man, look, I told TJ, I said, man, what your dad doing, man? The man running up the stairs, man.
How'd you get so competitive like that? I mean, because I don't know if I've ever seen a coach that loves winning and hates losing more than you did. I mean, more than you do.
Well, I got that from my high school football coach, Hal Hudson. He's like I said, he weighed 160 pounds, but he was the toughest guy at that school. He was the head football coach, and he ran that school. And it was just like the same way at Lanier High School. I ran Lanier High School at the time that I was there. I could walk down the hallway, and kids would be in the hall. I wouldn't say a word. They'll say, you'll hear somebody say, here come Coach Billups. Everybody start running in the classroom.
He's like, hey, he like Debo.
But you know, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
But you know, it was, but those kids know I loved them. They know I cared about them. And that's why they did. That's why I was in control, because they knew I loved them and I cared about them. And if any of them didn't have any money to buy lunch that day, they know if they came to me, I was gonna give them some money to eat lunch.
Right.
And I wanted to piggyback on what you just said. You were intense on the court, but very kind and generous outside of basketball. Alex McCassell and Judah Jameson. Judah said you were a father figure for him and helped him become a man. And Alex, he needed somewhere to stay and to start his flourishing business that's flourishing now. And you gave him the money to get that business going as well as get him a place to stay. I mean, that's just amazing, because most people after, you know, a lot of coaches, after they, you know, had you on their team, they don't fool with you anymore.
Right.
What made you stay in contact with them like that?
Well, you know, all those kids normally, you know, when most of them that don't go out of town, they see me they come to the game, they'll see me most of the time, and we just stay in touch with each other. And but you know, like you said, Judas and McCaster, you know, I did some things for them, and hey, they never forgot it. Never forgot it. And you know, and that's just the way my family was. Right. My mom was good, and my wife, she was just like I was about those kids. She would go out and buy them kids clothes and jackets, shoes, anything they needed.
Coach, what's interesting about that, like a lot of people never got a chance or never get a chance to see that side of Coach Billups. They just know this guy that's on the court that's so intense. So, I mean, it says a lot about you that you're able to help people. And I mean, you weren't doing it for show, apparently, because a lot of people don't even know that. So, I mean, that says a lot about your character.
Yeah, but you know what, though? My players knew it. They loved me.
Right.
They would leave everything on the court. They know I don't take no mess, and they know I do the right thing to try to help them. And if they get in trouble, that's their butts.
Right. Hey, Coach, what do you think about when you think back to those days in the dog pound? going back to the old gym and then the new gym, but just how fun were those days when you think back on them?
I tell you what, sometimes I think about it. It was so when I first started at Lanier, it was so intense because I really wanted to, go in and win right away, and which I did. That's what I did, and because of that, I had two players at Blackburn, Jerry Nichols and Don Joy. They came to Lanier with me because they was in our zone. But sometimes I think about it, and how I worked so hard and how I worked the kids so hard, and sometimes tears come to my eyes that I worked so hard, but I know how to work because my mom and dad taught me how to work. They always told me, anytime you work hard, something gonna come out of it. And I made that. I say it to myself when I got a high school job, even when I was coaching ninth grade. I said I wasn't gonna let not one coach in the state of Mississippi State high work me in the gym, and I didn't let that happen.
Right.
You didn't.
Yeah. So, Coach, man, I don't think a lot of people know this. I consider myself a basketball historian along with my other two co-hosts. You were a part of that 1980 Vicksburg State Championship team that had Michael Phelps, one of the greatest basketball players in the history of Alcorn State. And,
Right.
I was, after him, I was the most high-profile recruit to ever sign to Alcorn. Man, can you just talk about how special he was, man? Because I heard the stories, but man, can you just tell me, what made Michael Phelps so special?
Well, what made him, Michael Phelps was, he was the type of kid that stayed in the gym.
Yeah.
Hey, I opened the gym for him every, even before basketball season started. I would open the gym after school for them to come in and just play.
Yeah.
And if you was in that gym, Michael Phelps, you have to make him leave out of there.
Wow.
Cause he'll stay in there, and I guarantee you, if he had somebody to pass the ball back to him, he would shoot 300 shots every evening. And that's what made him so bad, made him so good that and I'm telling you, he was about 6'3.5", and I tell you, but he jumps well, and he held the tape in the air like Michael Jordan, and you wasn't gonna block his shot. You wasn't gonna block the shot. He was just a tough kid, and like you say, Brian, when he went to Alcorn, hey, nobody thought he would be that good.
Yeah.
But hey, he just worked hard, and I always tell my kids when I have them, hey, when you work hard, something gonna come out of it.
Yeah. And I got one more thing, because I told them, I said, man, I got a whole bunch of stuff with Coach. And, we talk about Jerry Nichols a lot, man. And, man, hey, I'm going to say this. I've said it on social media or whatever. That's the best basketball player I've ever played against in my life, other than when I went to Michael Jordan camp and played against Michael Jordan, right? People don't understand how good this man was. And his story, just going from the Georgetown projects to Georgetown University from Jackson, Mississippi, man, listen, that's a crazy story. But I'm gonna tell people today, I was going into the 10th grade. He was going into his senior year. He had all these offers: Kansas, Georgetown, Missouri, everybody.
Right.
So that was my assignment, guarding him.
Right.
Man, hey, Rod, Sonya, when I tell you I've never been so ready to get out of a gym.
Not Wanky.
I couldn't wait till that game was over because at that time, there was nothing I could do with him. He was bigger than me, faster, stronger. I had never seen nothing like that before in my life. It was the one time I was on the court where I just felt helpless. You know, can you talk about like how great Jerry Nichols was?
I tell you what, he's probably the best player that ever came through the state of Mississippi.
Wow.
And this includes the kid that played at Gulfport. What's his name?
Mahmoud.
Yeah, but his name he changed his name
Chris
after
Jackson,
that.
Chris
Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He was the best player that came to the state of Mississippi at that time. And probably it's going to be a long time before somebody be better than he was, because he dribbled the ball. You couldn't take the ball from him. He was a best defensive player that I had. And if you looked at him, Brian, he was about 6'4", maybe 6'4", 6'5", but his arm was just like gorilla arm. It was just
right.
long. They always reached down below his knee. And look, you wasn't gonna high rebound him.
No.
Every time he get that ball, as soon as he come across half court, it's nothing but net. He was just like Steph Curry. And if he take it to the basket, it's gonna be and one. Cause he was all dunk. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't know about Jerry Nichols because back then, that was his first year going to the Nike camp. He didn't do it like Brian and them did. They went 2 or 3 years. But at that point in time, if they was recruiting, if those big schools were recruiting him at his 11th grade year, he would have got drafted out of high school. But they didn't start recruiting him until I put him out there, until we got him out there.
Yeah.
And back then, Brian, too many scouts didn't come to Mississippi.
Right.
They didn't come to Mississippi.
Right.
Because they didn't think we could play. But after Jerry Nichols and Michael Phelps and them, and all those guys, you, Brian, and they just started coming in, and like you said, this guy here had scholarship everywhere.
Everywhere.
Wow.
I mean, I got tired of getting letters every day. It was about 10 letters every day coming to the mail for me.
Yeah.
So
hey, Coach.
Go ahead.
Coach, I was going to ask you. I mean, you look back at those days in basketball, particularly JPS basketball. JPS was running the state, and I think this season, I don't think a JPS team even made it to the Coliseum. What do you think happened, or what's it going to take to get JPS back to where it was back when you and Luther and Wayne and all those guys were coaching, Coach Fred Harris, all those guys?
Well, it is weak, and I know it's probably gonna take at least 10 years for JPS to get back the way it used to be. And just like you said, in the Coliseum, anybody come out of town to play one of these Jackson schools, you was gonna get beat. You was gonna get beat.
Period.
Yeah, you was gonna get beat. And every year in the Coliseum, it'd be at least 6. It's 8 high school. It'd be at least 6 of them down there playing for the championship.
Wow.
And you know what? When we'll play Provine, we'll end up putting Provine out of the championship, and they probably the second best team in Mississippi. But at that time, JPS were putting JPS out of the tournament.
Right. Coach, you got a game? Go ahead, Sonya. Go ahead.
No, because I was gonna go. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I was gonna ask you, do you have a game or some games that just stand out to you over your career? I mean, I know you coached on a bunch of big ones, but which one stand out the most to you? And I remember I was there when you won, might have been 600, I guess it was against Ridgeland, but I don't know how many you ended up getting up to, but which game stands out the most to you?
Well, I got about 6 games that really stand, but I'm gonna tell you the most important. I'm gonna tell you the most important. And Brian could probably tell you this. He probably could win this to this.
Yeah.
When I had Shannon Long and TJ, we went to Yazoo City, and we was number 1. Yazoo City was number 2.
I was at that game.
It was number 2. With 2 minutes, with 2 minutes and 12 seconds, we were down by 10. And I want to just let y'all know how good we was that year. Shannon Long was hurt. Shannon Long was hurt. He didn't even play. But when we were down by 12, and when Tane Hamilton and TJ got through shooting those threes, we tied the game up. And we went overtime. We went overtime and we beat them by 12.
Ooh.
We beat them by 12.
Wow. In 2 minutes?
In 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Wow.
And you know what? At Yazoo City, you couldn't even get around the court. It was people standing all around the court. My guys couldn't even throw the ball in. The referee just give it to them and just let them hand it to them because the court. It was the biggest game. I mean, it was just a sellout. But, we always sell a lot of games out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I want to just give some of your accolades. And when you were talking about Jerry Nichols, he went to my alma mater, Blackburn Junior High School. There you had 2 city championships and 3 championship game appearances. And then you moved on to your beloved Lanier. There you had 13 MHSA state basketball championships, 8 state crowns, and a record 617 wins, 119 losses. You were Metro Coach of the Year 6 times and 3 times State Basketball Coach of the Year. What an amazing legacy. Hearing all the accolades, what does that mean to you, Coach?
It means a lot to me. When I look back at it, nobody, a lot of people said that I couldn't do it.
Wow.
And a lot of people said I would never be a high school coach. A lot of people said that I would never be a college coach. But can't nothing take the place of all of those championships, all of those Coach of the Year, all the Metro Coach of the Year. And with the time that I stayed in coaching, being the winningest coach in the state of Mississippi and done won more state championships than any coach in the state of Mississippi. I look back at that and I say, my mom said this. I come from a country town. I had to work all the time. A country boy now. And I think about it and sometimes tears come to my eyes. And that they said, the people in my community at my school said that Billups wasn't going to ever be anything. And right now, the people in my class, I'm probably the top person that graduated in my class that, that got a career of what I went through and what I have accomplished.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So, Coach, the Lanier fans.
The greatest in the world.
Because they actually have followed you on to Tougaloo, is that correct?
Right. When I had the press conference over here, we had more Lanier fans than we had Tougaloo fans.
Wow.
Hey, Coach, what was that transition like for you going from high school to college? Was it a big difference, or you sort of kept it the same? I know it's more responsibilities, I guess, and as far as recruiting and all that. But what was that transition like for you?
But that's the only thing, recruiting.
Right.
You know, you hear a lot of coaches, a whole lot of people at these colleges say, you know, and a lot of application that I put in at JSU and Mississippi Valley, Alcorn, say, you know, they always say, if you ain't got no college experience, we can't interview you.
Man,
if you ain't got no college experience, we can't hire you. And Brian know this, and y'all, all of y'all probably know this. If you can coach basketball, it don't make no difference where it is. If it's a junior high,
right,
that ain't got. If you know basketball, you can coach. It the only thing at the college level, like I just said, is recruiting.
Wow.
And I tell people that all the time. Basketball is basketball. Ain't no such thing if you can't coach high school, you can't coach college.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing. It's the same way. If you're a coach and you know basketball, you're gonna win.
Right. I'm gonna say this, Coach. Like, you know, had you or like a Coach Neal or somebody like that got a head coaching job, and after our senior year in college, I mean in high school or something like that, man, all of us would have came and played for you guys because we knew you. You know the state. You know what I'm saying? That's what people got to understand. You know the state of Mississippi better than anybody. So why not, sit you down at the table and give you an interview? You know what I'm saying? Because, I know for me, I'm walking into a situation where, I end up playing for a coach I ain't know nothing about. You know what I'm saying? So that didn't even have a plan for me. You know? So, man, that's the thing, man. That's what people don't understand when it comes to interviewing people for jobs and stuff like that. They want to go for like I don't know, I guess some kind of name, but heck, you had a name too. You know what I'm saying? Name better than a lot of guys that were hired at some of these low to mid Division I schools, man. So hey, look, I know what we're doing, and I know you've been great at it, and you're still great at it, right now at Tougaloo, but I just think, man, a lot of people missed out on some greatness. You could have even took somebody else's program to another level from the state of Mississippi, Yeah.
But Brian, I never doubt myself.
Right.
I never doubt myself, whether I call it right play or the wrong play. If I lose or win, I never doubted myself.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. I never play not to lose.
Yeah.
And if you understand what I'm saying, I always, when we hit the court, I play to win every single night.
Yeah.
And Brian, another thing you just mentioned there about Jackson State, Alcorn, and Mississippi Valley. Hey, I never, most of the time when you think you deserve a shot, a lot of people get mad, and they, but Brian, hey, I never got mad because they didn't hire me.
Right.
Because I knew wherever I end up at, I was going to win basketball games.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If you're a coach, the bottom line is winning games.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, man, not to put anybody on blast or anything like that. I applied for the women's job at Alcorn State, my alma mater, and everybody in Mississippi, a lot of people in the country know what type of level of young ladies that I train, man. So I kind of mentioned it to them, say, hey, this might could happen or whatever. I had like 4 or 5 girls from the state of Texas that was considered some of the top players around in this area. They was ready on Alcorn, but they didn't even interview me. and I'm in the Hall of Fame. So,
Yeah,
but you
right.
know, it is what it is, you know.
Well, and you know, and go ahead, Coach.
But Brian, you know, and you know, you all, it ain't what you know here. And I've been in this world a long time. I've been coaching 46 years. It ain't what you know, Brian, it's who you know. And
Right.
people do this. They hire their friends. They go and do what the alumni say do. They do what the booster club say do. Yep. And when that happens, when they do that and don't hire the best guy for that job, you will never win. They would never win. It's always something gonna go bad for them.
Right.
So I don't, like I said, I don't worry about it. I just, you know, I don't worry about it. I just continue to work hard each and every day. And long as I stay in coaching, now I'm gonna work. Ain't nobody gonna hire work me.
Right.
And I think, you know what? High working people, I don't care how good, how smart a coach you are, the one that works the hardest is gonna win the basketball game and play defense.
Absolutely. Coach, and you know, and it kind of goes with what Brian was saying. I was going to ask you, because you kind of had to, sometimes we can become complacent where we are. You was winning, you know, everything at Lanier, everything. But you started kind of like an event, old school versus new school.
Right.
And tell us about that situation. And it kind of it pushed you to college ball. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, so tell us what happened with that.
Okay, you know, every year we would have an old school, new school game, and that was you know, I started that, and hey, that was a tradition there at Lanier High School. You know, when we do that, we have a big crowd in the gym. Everybody come back. So on the day that I went through all the processes and went through everything I was supposed to go through in order to, and besides, when I say this, went through all of that to use the gym, to fill out application, to use the gym and whatever. But at this point in time, the way I was winning and how many games I had won, I shouldn't even have to fill out no application to use the gym.
Right.
I shouldn't even have to go over there and you know, they want to charge to use the gym. And when that happened, let me tell you, and Brian, y'all remember this now. When you don't won and made this district, you know, they made this district the best district in Mississippi and some out of the country.
Right.
But just remember this, it don't matter. When you do your best, and just like me, when people don't like you, and when they don't like you, hey, they gonna try to hurt you and pull you down. And remember, me and my wife talk about this all the time. They don't care nothing about you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I hate to say this, but if I was black and I won that many games at Brandon, at Pearl, at Madison Central, I would be a king there. I would be a king. They wouldn't work. Hey, they would give you anything you want.
Anything you want.
Yeah.
And my superintendent at that point and at that time, we had 200 people on the outside ready to go in the gym. He sent security over there and closed the gym down.
Wow.
So I called Dr. Gray, who was the superintendent. And he told me that, well, it was some kind of miscommunication, he said. I said, well, I'm talking to you. I mean, you over all of this. You're the superintendent. We got 200 people out here. And he said, well, we're not going to have it. I said, why? He said, because they said you didn't follow the right procedure. I said, I did everything I've been doing like I have all the time.
Wow.
I even called back over there and asked, do I need to do anything else? And they said, no. So, and that's what I said a few minutes ago, Brian. It don't matter what you do, where you are. If people don't like you and they don't care about what you done did to make this city look good, or make JPS look good.
Right.
So at that point in time, that Monday, they call themselves I was retired at the time. They call themselves getting rid of all of the retired teachers that were in JPS just to get me. So then, and this was great now. He was a superintendent at this time. He was great. And I said, okay. I say, I see now it's about time. It's time for me to get out of here.
Yeah.
So we had about 300 people that was going to go to the board meeting downtown. And Gray chickened out. What he did, he called my pastor, Reverend Young, and told Reverend Young to get me to stop those people from coming down there.
No,
He would give me my job back. He would give me my job back. So I told Reverend Young, me and my wife was in the kitchen. I said, I had it on speakerphone. And I say, Reverend Young, you don't know Dr. Gray. He would lie in a minute. And Reverend Young said, well, Coach, look, go ahead and stop him. And if he lied to me, that's one thing I hate, a liar and a cheater. That's what Dr. Young told me, my pastor. And I said, he would lie to you in a minute. He said, go on and stop. So I called and stopped the people from going down. It was about 300 people.
Wow.
It was about 300 people lined up to go downtown because they knew those people, that was the fans of Lanier now. And they knew that Dr. Gray didn't like that because me and him got into a little argument. And I guess he said he was going to show me. But, they did all of that to try to hurt me. And what they don't know, God had this plan for me. They helped me instead of hurting me.
And that's what I was about to say.
When I said that 2 days later, told the Clarence Ledger that I'm out of here. That was that evening, that morning around 10 o'clock. I had 3 or 4 calls. Schools wanted to hire me. And I went to Oak Grove. And, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't make it, but at JPS, out of all the championship that I had won, I was only making $65,000. Wow. And when I went to Oak Grove, they paid me. Well, let me go back. And I always taught classes. I had at least 2 to 3 classes at JPS. And when I went to Oak Grove, I made $82,000, had 1 class and had 2 duties. And that class I had were my athletes, were my basketball player at 2 o'clock. And I finished up at home. I finished up and I was at home at 4:30 every day.
Wow.
And I went down there and turned that program around because they hadn't won about 5 or 6 games in 2 years. went out there, we went 14-13 or 13-14. And later on that, after the season was over, I got a call from Tougaloo. And like I said, that was God playing for me. They thought they was hurting me, but they helped me.
They helped you. They helped you. That's why I wanted you to tell that story, because, and I wanted Brian to hear it if you didn't know it, because you're thinking, you know, they cutting you off, but it's for a reason. And God had to push you out the next, because you had got you was at home. Lanier High School. And you got complacent. And sometimes we can get complacent and won't go. And God was like, I got it. And here you are now.
All right.
And you know, like I said, y'all, y'all can always remember this. It don't matter how good you are, it's always gonna be one of us that don't like what you're doing and gonna try to hurt you in some way.
That's right.
Oh, ain't no question.
That's right.
You know, as much as I did for the state of Mississippi and for JPS, I should be, you know, they should have built me a house there on campus.
You're right.
That's what they would. Hey,
they do it for the other coaches.
They do it for the other coaches.
That's right.
Right. But you know, I mean, that's just the way it goes, and you know, and like I said again, it don't matter what they do to you. If you got God with you and you work hard, you always gonna be on top.
Always.
And it's just like me, just like now. They can say what they want to say, and I don't ever brag. But all I do is win, win, win. That's all I do.
No matter what.
Right.
I love it. I love it, Coach. And we appreciate you. We can't build you no house.
Well, we appreciate it.
We appreciate you. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, we really, really do. It's just such, I mean, it's everything that you're saying is so, so true. And you're going to get your flowers. Trust me, you will always get your flowers, because when anybody say your name, always say legend, winner, the best. And you are all of those things. Absolutely. All of those things. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I was going to ask you. Oh, go ahead.
But Brian, let me say this, Brian, while I'm thinking about it. Brian, you know how tough I am. I was on you all when we played in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
You know how tough I am.
Yeah.
And you know what? But it was tough love though, Brian, you know. And I guarantee you, the way I push you, I wanted to get the best out of you, Brian, and all the other guys. I wanted to get the best out of you. You know what, Brian? A lot of these coaches cheat these kids, but I'm not gonna cheat them. I'm not gonna cheat them. I'm gonna get the best out of them. We either gonna get the best out of them, or they gonna leave and go home.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's what I think my two sons understood. They understand that they, you know, they coach a little bit like me, but not exactly like me. Right. And you know what? A lot of people talk about how I coach, but it don't matter with me. It don't matter, because they don't never say nothing about all these other white coaches that that Indiana and you know, these coaches at Kentucky that coach hard, at Kansas that coach hard. And that's what I do. I only coach hard.
Right.
And you know what? And the referees get paid, and I'm gonna make them earn their money. Yeah, I ain't gonna let them just call anything and not go question them.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, Coach, I remember after those games, sometimes if y'all lost one, you had to interview Coach Billups after the loss. It wasn't always easy on us.
Oh yeah, and you know what, Brian? And y'all know what? If we lost the game, and if we didn't play good, I would tell my parents, and they didn't care either. They did not care. Like I said, I had the best parents, the best community, and the best fan in the world. Yeah. If we play bad, we going back to the gym after the game and practice.
Wow.
Yeah, hey, you can't
We're
do
gonna
that
get
no
it
more.
right. We're gonna get it right.
Yeah.
And how long would y'all be there?
However long it takes, sometimes 2 hours, an hour and a
Oh
half.
my gosh.
And I'll tell them to start calling your parents to come get you. And you know what the parents say? Coach, get them, coach, because they ain't did nothing.
Yeah.
That's what they'll say.
Hey,
Wow.
hey, look, hey, when we used to have to do that, see, at Lanier, you can go home. At Piney Woods, you go back to that, hey, you ain't going home.
Hey, Coach, I know you coached a lot of really, really good players over the years. If you had to roll out a starting five, who would you roll out there?
Ooh, the starting five?
Your starting five. Coach Billups starting five.
That'll be hard, man. I promise you. But it would be Jerry Nichols, Shannon Long, TJ. Did I call Monte name?
No.
Okay, Monte. It would be Monte, Jerry Nichols, TJ, Shannon Long, and probably Tane Hamilton.
Hey,
I could name about 30 of them though.
I was about to say, Coach, you put a second string out. I can name you 5 more that'll be just as good as that 5.
Just as good as they are. Just as
Yeah.
good as they are.
Yeah, because you didn't say Darius Rice or Ariel Horton or Charles Rhodes.
Solomon Forbes, James Thomas.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow.
but you know, and let me go. But those guys that I just named, they was team players.
Okay.
They was going all the team that I coach. TJ and Shannon Long played better together than any team I had.
Yeah.
They wasn't gonna hold the ball. They was gonna feed the one that's hot.
Yeah.
And they was gonna get open.
Yeah. Yeah. Great team players, man.
Right.
Yeah. And Coach, hey, I was gonna tell you too. So I have a kid right now that I train. I'm more like a mentor to him as well.
Right.
Jalen Tyson got a great future ahead of him. He's at Texas Tech right now. He FaceTimed me one day and said, hey man, my assistant strength and conditioning coach is Michael Neal. I said, what?
Yeah.
Michael Neal from Lanier High School is the assistant strength and conditioning coach at Texas Tech. That's amazing, man. And see, once again, that's another guy from up under, your wing that made it. And he's at a big time program doing special things with, one of my kids that I have, so man, much love for that, man.
Yeah. But Brian, you know what? I just had finished playing a game one night and, here at Tougaloo. And I went home. I only stayed by 5 minutes from the house. From the school. And since you brought that up by Michael Neal, I went home and Texas Tech, and Texas was playing, I believe. I know it was Texas Tech. And you know how they just be rolling the film around, the camera around? And I looked up and I said, man, that's Michael Neal. I said, man, that's Michael Neal. And guess what? And just like you said, Brian,
yeah,
I called him the next day. I said, Mike, he said, hey, Coach, how you doing? He said, Coach, man, the first thing he said, Coach, man, I'm sorry. And I wasn't going to even say anything about it.
Yeah.
Coach, man, Coach, I'm sorry. I should have been called you and got in touch with you and talked with you. I'm so sorry, Coach, but I've been busy. I said, Mike, don't worry about me. I love what I saw last night. I love it. That's why I was here for y'all, and that's why I practiced so hard and worked y'all so hard. Do y'all know how much money that kid making now? The head trainer.
Wow. And what's so amazing, and we're gonna close it up.
Let me say this real quick. And I you know what? I used that with my team that the next day I came to practice. And I told them, if you work hard, things gonna happen for you.
And you know what? And I'm gonna start using it. I know you got that from your parents, but you're right. If you, and
Right.
you know, we kind of all, you know, at our age, we kind of already know that.
Right.
But I want to say it. If you work hard, things will happen. Things
Right.
good will happen. And
Right.
Coach, with Michael, you had, I think, 2 that went to the NBA, and how many that went overseas?
Well, you know,
16?
we had Tang Hamilton played for about 10 days and 20 days, a total of 20 days. Rice played a total of 10 days in the NBA. You know, Michael Phelps played, and Monte Ellis got drafted out of high school. And God knows I can remember how many I got, but you know, I only coached so many players. I forget some of them names. And I had 17 overseas playing.
Wow.
Wow.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Right.
Coach, that's amazing.
Hey, Coach, I'm about to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give me your top 5 high school players that you ever seen.
My top 5 high school players in the state of Mississippi.
In the history that you ever saw. You ain't got to be in order.
It ain't got to be in the order.
It ain't got to be in order.
All right.
Hey,
Monte Ellis, Jerry Nichols, Ronnie Henderson.
That's 3.
Othello Harrington.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all know, hey, but Brian kind of give me 5 and Brian Adams.
That's the worst thing you could have. That's the worst thing you could have ever said.
Coach, why did you say that?
I'm serious. But Brian knows.
Oh my gosh.
But Brian knows, and all the other people know that if I had a Coach Brian, he was good, but he would have been one of the top players in the nation. Wow. He had everything going. He had everything going for him. He could jump, he could shoot, he could run, and God knows all of my teams ever done will run up and down the floor. They get it and we go.
Defense.
We get it and go.
I hate you said that, because now he's gonna be texting me and Rod bragging. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. I was hoping you were gonna skip him. I was like, please pick Mood. Please.
Hey Brian, go ahead and cash out Coach Billups' money. I know you.
Don't cash out.
Paying them off.
We know you paid him off. No, well, he is one of the greatest. He is. I can't say that. But Coach, before we let you go, we play this game called You Can Get With This and You Can Get With That. And what that is, it's a way for the listeners and ourselves to get to know the guests better. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions and you choose the best one that fits you, okay?
Okay.
Toast and eggs or eggs and bacon?
Toast and egg.
Toast and egg. Do you prefer wearing contacts or glasses?
Glasses.
Amusement park or day at the beach?
Day at the beach.
Your favorite actor between Denzel Washington and Forrest Whitaker?
Denzel Washington.
What's your favorite movie?
I got a lot of them. Let me just try to narrow it down. I'm gonna say I don't know whether y'all seen this movie here before, and I could watch it about 20 more times. Ghost.
Ghost.
Oh yeah, Ghost. Willie, my boy.
Yeah, Ghost.
Yeah. You prefer the painful truth or comforting lie?
The truth.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not a fan of this genre of music, but I know you are a huge fan. Bobby Blue Bland or BB King? Who's your favorite?
It's tough, but I'll have to go with BB King.
BB King. What's one of your favorite songs by him?
BB King is see, y'all put me on the spot now. He got so many, and I hate to tell you, You know, he seen this also with Bobby playing The Thrill Is Gone.
The Thrill Is Gone. Okay.
Yeah, him and Bobby Brown. I mean, him and what's
Bobby Blue Bland?
Bobby Blue Bland called. They sing that together.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I got a little album with that on there with both of them singing that together.
Now, Coach, I know.
Oh, I got that album. I got it downloaded.
You do?
Oh yeah.
Now, Coach, with you, go ahead. With you, dealing with so many young athletes, you don't like any hip hop? Is there any one hip hop song you like?
I hate it. You know what? Listen. You know what? I hate it so bad. I can't. If one of my kids came in the gym with their pants on their butt, they out of there for the day.
They out of
If
there.
one come in there now with an earring on, they out for today, and they might not play in the game. But
wow.
I go through all of this in my rules before we began practicing, and when you first get to Tougaloo, and your hat, it better be worn the right way.
I love it.
And I'm old school, and I'm never gonna change.
And old school is the best school, actually.
Right.
But all of us on here, we're hip hop babies, so we love hip hop.
Yeah.
Coach, because inflation is going on, would you prefer free gas for a year or free food for a year?
Well, free food.
Free food. I agree. Juneteenth is coming up. Do you prefer grilled chicken or grilled burgers?
Grilled chicken.
Grilled chicken. Would you like to pause time or rewind time?
Rewind.
Rewind. Last but not least, Golden State Warriors or Boston Celtics?
Well, and I'm gonna just say this, and I'll have to say this. I love the Warriors. I love Steph them. I love Wiggins them. I love the way they play because they play the way my team plays. I love them.
But
and Boston out of it now. Boston gone because the way they played the other night, they already defeated for the next game. And it might go another game, but the Warriors gonna win. But who I want to win is the black coach.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Now, and I'm a Bulls fan, so I love Steve Kerr. And I'm like you, I like Steph and all of them. But me and Rod, we chose Boston in 7. I'm still holding on to hope. Rod, are you still holding on to hope?
Still holding on, yeah. So we gotta ask Coach about the question we always ask. Kareem, Jordan, LeBron, put them in order.
You left Mike out.
All right, go ahead. Say it.
Oh, I said. Oh, my bad. Yeah, Kareem, Jordan, LeBron.
Oh, you said that.
Yeah, those 3. Put them in order.
Michael Jordan.
Okay.
LeBron James and Kareem.
What you got on that, Brian? You all right with that?
That's cool.
Okay. All right.
That's cool.
As long as Mike was first, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, Coach, it has been a true pleasure. This was a treat for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're not on social media, so hey guys, when the season starts back up, make sure let's pack the loot out. Let's pack the loot out. I come to some of the games, so I enjoy your team. Great
well,
team.
just let me know when y'all want to come. If you want to bring 20 people, let me know. I'll get you in.
All right. I will let you know. Rod, let the listeners know how they can follow you on social media as well as read your articles.
I'm on Twitter. It's at Rod Walker Nola, and the articles are on NOLA.com. And Coach Bill's gonna have to catch you when you're down here playing Xavier or Dillard or something, I guess.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
I've been wanting to make it over there. I hadn't had a chance to make it in all the time I've been here, but I'm gonna come check you out.
Okay, all right, do that.
And Brian, let the listeners know how they can follow you on social media and also get in touch with you with Driven Elite Basketball Academy.
Yeah, on Instagram is Driven Elite Basketball Academy, and Twitter is The Elite B-Ball.
Guys, you can follow me as She Says She Says Sports on Facebook, She Says She Says Sports 23 on Instagram, at She Says She Say 23 on Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Says She Say Sports. Well, that's my show for today. Until next time, this is She Says She Say Sports and Legends of the Sipp. We'll see you next time.